Some things just go together. Wine and cheese, flowers in springtime, and yes, books and bottles. We pair your favorite author with your favorite drink. Your host of Books and Bottles, Benita Johnson.
Hi, welcome to Books and Bottles. I'm your host, Benita Johnson. This is the show where we introduce you to your favorite author and their book, and we pair it with your favorite wine or spirit. We're excited to be back again today. If you've been with us before, welcome back. If this is your first time, you're in for a treat. So today we have a familiar face. If you've been following our show, this person wrote a book called Courage in Cannabis. This is part 2, the Triumphant Stories. I introduce to you Dr. Bridget Cole Williams.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. It's so wonderful to see you again.
Absolutely. It's great to see you.
Yeah, so you're still writing, still doing the work in cannabis.
Absolutely. So yeah, our first book launched December of 2021, and I don't know what I was thinking, but we just launched book 2, just August of 2023. So definitely back to back, but new stories and a new approach, and it's been really exciting.
So one thing about your books, and this one in particular, I just love just hearing everybody's experiences and how it impacts them, you know, and it's all positive and it's just really good. So what made you go into this line of study?
So first of all, I'm a family physician by trade. I really had a patient very early on in my career that started to ask me questions about cannabis. I was frustrated with the current model of 15-minute visits for every diagnosis. There was a pill, and I felt like I was doing a factory job. And my patients honestly kind of felt the same way. And so I started working with patients to spend more time with them, do motivational interviewing, and really just look at life change instead of just pharmaceuticals. And in doing this, I started pulling people off of meds about every 6 to 8 weeks. One of them asked me about cannabis. I thought she was absolutely nuts at the time. So I started looking up information to tell her why she was wrong, that there was no medicinal qualities here. In the course of it, I saw that there were many and that there was a lot of research going on around the world, and I trusted her. So I followed her in her journey. I learned about dosing, and her experiences of her health were drastically different from my pharmaceutical patients. So when it became legal in Ohio, I knew that I needed to be a part of it. And the stories that in those, definitely that first year with those patients were remarkable. And I knew that it needed to be written down.
Yeah. This one page I kind of dog-eared. It kind of stuck with me because when you talked about Ohio is legal, Virginia is my hometown. And so it's decriminalized. And I live now in Washington, D.C., and I think I think we're the Wild Wild West over here.
A little bit.
But this was from a contributor in your book, Ed Rosenthal. And he said the marijuana laws are based on lies. Everything the government said about it is the opposite of the truth. It makes people sick, and actually it is helpful and with many medical conditions. It drives people crazy, and actually it promotes nonviolence and introspection. I can say, I know, a lot of people who use cannabis, mostly recreationally, but some medical. I've never seen a violent cannabis user.
I have not either. I have not. And I think that that's part, like you said, that's part of the misconception that people hallucinate and they're violent and out of control. And it's so much different from that. And it's so much, I have to say, less than that, right? That people are expecting this, dramatic, experience. And when I say it's about a wine cooler effect, maybe a little bit more, it might even be disappointing for some people, but it's medicinal in every aspect that can also be used socially.
So what types, if you can say, what types of ailments are you finding cannabis to be most effective in not curing but treating?
Treating, absolutely. So I think number one is always going to be pain. It's the number one condition that anyone goes to any doctor for. And it's definitely the number one condition that people seek medical cannabis for. And so in how it is so beneficial for people with usually not using even that much of it, whether it's topical, whether it's people use it in ingesting it or inhaling it. I think how well it works is surprising for people, even if it's just CBD by itself. And so that's really the thing that catches people first and foremost, that how much it decreases their pain.
So are you seeing any pro or con in using cannabis, whether you smoke it or whether you ingest it, like through an edible?
They're definitely different, right? So I'm never a huge fan of combustion, of burning, because whenever you burn, you also release carcinogens. And even though research has shown that people that are strictly cannabis users, meaning they don't use nicotine, tobacco, anything like that the likelihood of developing a lung cancer is nil to none, you're still, there's still, a little bit of doubt with that, right? And plus, in an ideal world, all I want you to breathe is fresh, clean air. But when you find it, let me know and we'll all move there, right?
Okay.
So the nice thing about inhalation, though, is how quickly it works. And how and that it doesn't also last that long. So people that are kind of new to this space, you don't want to be stuck where you've taken too much, you're not sure, and it's lasting longer than you want. Inhalation, it works quickly for people that have migraines. They need something that works very immediately to calm it down, right?
Okay.
If you have severe pain, if you're having a panic attack, you need things that work quickly, but it also doesn't last that long. Now, when it comes to edibles, it's almost the opposite. It takes a while. The traditional edible or anything that you're ingesting that has to go through your liver, that means, and I include drinks in that, it takes about an hour or two to kick in, but it might last for 6 to 8 hours. Now, if you're confident about your dosing, that might be perfect, right? So that you might only have to use it maybe once, maybe twice a day or what have you. If you're not confident about your dosing, then you might end up in a situation you wish you weren't in. And it can feel a little bit different as well, because when it bypasses and goes through the liver, what it chemically changes to is slightly different than when you're inhaling it. And so some people like that and some people don't like that feeling. It is a nuance, so everyone doesn't always notice a difference, but there is a difference in how they feel.
Okay. So when you're prescribing, do you look at like there's so many different strains now, so do you look at that in terms of whether they need something more sativa or indica or the hybrid, like when you
So absolutely, because everything isn't for everyone, right? So just who you are as a person, for some people, sativa, which is a much more elevating experience, if you're already high anxiety, it might push you over into, instead of being kind of elevating and, you're still very active, it might actually make you very anxious and maybe even panic, right? And then for the person that is already kind of type A and needs to have a certain amount of control, the indica, which is a very relaxing, can be almost stifling in a way, because as you start to kind of ease back into this relaxation, the type A person's like, wait, I might want to wash the car. I might want, like, they start fighting it, right? So who you are as a person plays into it. But the real difference with sativa and indica are the terpenes. It's the essential oils that really define those differences. And if you're looking for something that is good for seizure disorder or for pain or for sleep, those terpene combinations can have a big difference in how well it works for you. So I do look at different strains, and if you're unsure, hybrid's always the way to go, because it's a little bit of both, a little sativa, a little bit of indica, and it's a good place to start. But what I like to really educate people on is eventually understanding the terpene profile. And when you
Mhm.
understand the terpene profile, you'll start picking strains that are actually really specific to your needs.
Okay, so I should just stop just going strolling through my phone and just picking something with a cute name.
Oh, but the names they're deceiving, aren't they? I mean, who doesn't
Yes,
want someone? And then when you get in it, it doesn't taste like wedding cake. You're like, well, who said it is what it is? The names are very
I love just going through. I have an app
mhm,
that we use in DC, just called
mhm,
Where's Weed, and so I just love going through and just looking at
at
the
the
different
names.
names.
But I
Yeah.
feel the same way about OPI nail polish.
Yes, my favorite is Lincoln Park After Dark.
Oh, see, and you know it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, a good name does help. If I don't know what the thought process was with some of those early growers, but if it wasn't great marketing, then they didn't know what they were doing because a good name makes a big difference.
Absolutely. So another question before we bring on our wine guest, when
Yes.
you started to research and you kind of started looking at it from a medical perspective, how
Mhm.
were you received by your colleagues, your medical colleagues?
It's funny because well, I talked to you, I guess, sometime last year, and
Hmm.
I've been doing this for about 5 or 6 years now. Um, It's funny because in the beginning, it definitely was some noses in the air and definitely, just kind of turning their backs. And it was very negative. But, I think I've said before, you get to a certain age and you just don't care what other
Yeah,
people think. And especially when you know that you're doing the right thing and you're happy, right? Now, I would say definitely as more and more states become recreational and more medical, there's a little bit more of a linger, right? They're a
okay.
little bit more curious. They're not so quick to dismiss the phone call because they know that they have so many patients that are cannabis users.
Hmm.
And when they used to say to me, "What are we gonna do with these people? And what are we gonna do about this cannabis?" And I was like, "You've always had cannabis patients. The difference
Yeah,
is that we're now actually open and talking about it. So don't ask what were you doing with them before? Now
yeah,
you have the opportunity to understand your patient better. You should take advantage of that." Right. So I feel the ease, I feel things changing, particularly the American Nursing Association, and I might have the name wrong, but they've actually considered cannabis a specialty now. And so nurses can, just as they might be nurse practitioners, or they can seek. Nurse practitioners might be in family, they might be psychiatric, they might be, cardiac, they might choose a specialty. They now can
hmm,
choose cannabis as a specialty.
okay.
So that
So
shows you things are definitely moving
they're
along.
definitely progressing. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So hang on with me. We
Yes.
have a special guest in the house, and she's also been on the show before, the
Okay.
owner and winemaker at Franklin Vines, Miss Stephanie Franklin.
Very good.
Where are you, Stephanie?
Hi, how are y'all?
Hey, how are you? Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for having me on again. It's always a pleasure to be on.
Yes, we love having you. So tell us, it's been so many exciting things. Of course, I follow you on social media, and you just been doing it up down in Texas. So tell us what's going on with Franklin Vines.
Whew, I feel like every time I'm on, I'm always so close to my wine is almost ready. So it's like next year, I need you to have me on again so we all can experience the wine
Oh,
that you want. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
So I have a wine brand, Franklin Vines. I have Tannat in barrels. If you don't know about the varietal Tannat, it originated in Mataron, France. It grows extremely well here in Texas.
mm,
And I went with that grape because it's a lesser known grape here. And, I wanted to shed some light on it. I like the grape. It's very tannic. I think what I've done with it, I balanced everything out with the wine. It's big cherry, dark fruit. You get a little bit of dried sage on it. On the nose, you get a little bit of the butter fat, if you can imagine that. On the palate, you get some cherry, you get some rose, some violet. The tannins and the acidity in the wine are very well done, very balanced, and very smooth. So I'm very proud of it. I'm in the middle of putting the oak finish on it. So I'm very anxious to get it out in the world. And it's just been a journey. It's been a journey. I've been like hands-on, the entire way through. And it's like, it's almost there. She's been aging since September of 2022.
Okay.
So she's been in barrels. Every time I go up to the hill country, I'm like, okay, I need to go check on my baby. I need to make sure she's good. So I have a bottle because I was thinking, I'm like, well, maybe I should talk about another wine because my wine isn't ready yet. But I'm like, no, I'm repping my baby. So this is Franklin Vine. So this is not the label. I did a Good Morning America interview in August. And the winery, the Custom Crush facility, they actually pulled a sample for me so I can have. But when I did the interview, and my good friend Penda was nice enough to do a label so I wouldn't have a blank bottle. So it'll change a little bit. I'll add some things to it. But this is her. She is amazing. I think she's great. It has that Franklin Vines touch. So I can't wait for all of y'all to taste it and tell me what you think. I think she's going to do extremely well.
Where are you in Texas?
I live in Houston, Texas.
I just did a tour of Texas. So, no, we have a lot of our authors are down there as well. So we'll definitely have them connect with you.
Absolutely. I would love that.
We all have to go down for the launch.
I know, that's really exciting.
For sure. And if you don't know, I'm also planning a 1-acre vineyard in Shankleville. If you don't know the story, please look up Shankleville, read about it. It's a historical town, which is why I wanted to plant the vineyard there. So I'm doing some exciting things, and sometimes I'm like, whew, what are you doing? Just drink the wine,
Okay. No, but it's amazing what you're doing, and I can appreciate your hard work and your effort. So you say it's been in the barrel since September of 2022?
Yes.
How long do you when do you plan the bottle?
Probably May of next year.
Okay.
So, May.
All right.
Yeah.
I
want her ready for there's a Purple Hull Pea Festival coming up next year in Shankleville, and all of my Texas wines will be dedicated to Shankleville. So I think it's appropriate to kind of kick it off there or have it available, and then I'll do a bigger launch here in Houston.
Okay, so Stephanie, how do we keep up with you? For our viewers, they want to see what's going on down at Franklin Vines. How do they find you?
Absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram, Franklin_Vines. And then I just launched another page, Franklin Vines Wine, because I'm about to have a wine next year. Also, you can subscribe to my email, franklinvineshtx.com. And please sign up, reserve a bottle, because I have a limited amount and I feel like I'm going to sell out. So please get in line to reserve your bottle, franklinvineshtx.com.
Okay, I'm going to do it as soon as we are done here. Thank you so much for coming back, but stay on, hang out with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. So
Dr. Williams, I have a question for you. With everybody doing these different products, have you ever thought about doing some type of cannabis product? If somebody's doing some cannabis wine.
Well, it's funny because what has drawn me to you always is that I'm definitely a wine girl at the end of the day. So, medicinally, I'm in the cannabis space, but at the end of the night, I'm a Cabernet, dark red wine, dry wine is my life, right?
Okay.
So, but something new that we started working on, and actually Texas is going to have one of our first non-Ohio, Michigan options, is that I have something called the Blossom Bar. And it is a mobile bar that is hemp-derived CBD and THC options. And so we basically make mocktails, and I work with a beautiful, amazing food scientist, young Black woman out of New York, that makes a fast-acting THC and CBD powder. And then we make beautiful cocktails for people, and it's filled with adaptogens and nootropics. And so it's healthy, and it's, because I go to a lot of places where, particularly being in the cannabis space, where people are not alcohol drinkers. The reason that they're in the cannabis space is because they have a history, with alcohol abuse. And so we wanted to provide an option for people where we do weddings. They might have an alcohol bar, but they also have us come in as well. And so it's been a lot of fun, after doing all the science and medical stuff all day, to work with people to provide something that's a little bit more fun is a great option. And
I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I have CBD products, and I have hemp-derived THC products. I have Green Harvest Health, which is my medicinal line, and you can find it on greenharvesthealthcbd.com. And then I have my beauty and lifestyle brand, which is called Embody, and you can find it at myembodylife.com.
Okay.
So, I've been making things for a while. You got to mix it up a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. We got to keep all different sorts of streams of revenue, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So here's your book. I have it right here with me. I want to encourage our viewers to get a copy. How do they get a copy of your book, Dr. Williams?
So you can always go on Amazon, and we were a #1 bestseller again with this book. And so it's if you go on Amazon and go look up Courage in Cannabis, you'll see Volume 1 as well as Volume 2. So it's been a wonderful ride. We had 18 authors in the first book. We had 39 in book 2. I don't know what I was thinking, but when you double the work, you double the work. You know what I'm saying?
You do.
Yeah,
but their stories are amazing, and everybody's, as you say, everybody's journey is different. Yeah. And it's just exciting to read. So I appreciate you and all of the work that you've been doing in cannabis. I appreciate, of course, you being back on the show.
Yes.
And I know we're going to see you again, because I know this isn't it for you in this space. So thank you so much for being with us. And again, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you to our viewers that's watching today. If we have authors who'd like to be on Books and Bottles, please send us an email at info@grose, PROD, groseproductions.com. So we thank you again for being on the show. And until next week, cheers.
Excited about this opportunity to spread our show and what we've been doing for the last 3 years to even more people, man.
I was excited to be part of this show. I would be even more excited if I didn't have to sit next to Glenn.
Yeah, and I'm gonna need something stronger in this cup if I gotta sit next to Mel.
So Glenn, what do you think about body count?
I bought this jacket for the show. You like it?
Yeah, your berry colored jacket.
Thank you.
What's the body count on the jacket? Don't try to get away.